nothing but political grandstanding, and everyone seems to know it, but it seems like everyone is simply okay with it.
It's gotten so harsh. And, you know, we were, a lot of our viewers didn't like it at the time, but when Brett Kavanaugh was up and suddenly we were talking about rape rooms in Washington, D.C. high school parties. I mean, you grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Were there rape rooms? Like, you know, Michael Avenatti, she goes, no, but if a girl was kissed by somebody else, we'd come home and laugh at it. No, we need to bring this up. And then there were stories in the New Yorker saying, oh, somebody may remember, did he kiss me or not? Or did he reach out? Like, this madness on both sides. And Republicans, Willie, said, oh, because Brett Kavanaugh was treated so badly, we're going to show more grace. And oh, so you suggest that she coddles pedophiles? Is that the way the Republican Party restrains himself? By accusing her of being a friend of pedophiles, and other Republicans accusing anybody who supports her nomination as being pro-pedophilia. Doesn't really sound like Republicans really have distinguished themselves much from Michael Avenatti and the people that created the circus around Brett Kavanaugh.
And let's be clear, that is the accusation. We heard it right there from Josh Hawley, that this future Supreme Court justice protects and coddles pedophiles. That is the accusation. And as you said, there are other Republicans whose names we won't use to dignify what they've said over the last couple of days, who said the 3 Republicans who say they will vote for Judge Jackson are pro-pedophilia. That's just saying out loud. That's a member of Congress saying that. Here's more of Senator Lindsey Graham yesterday and his about face. Again, remember, less than 10 months ago, he voted yay for this judge.
Now, all of us are in politics over here. Again, I'm inclined to vote for judges of the other side. But this choice of Judge Jackson was really embraced by the most radical people in the Democratic movement. If we get back the Senate and we're in charge of this body, and there's judicial openings, we will talk to our colleagues on the other side. But if we're in charge, she would not have been before this committee. You would have had somebody more moderate than this.
Quiet part out loud and all the rest of that, basically saying if we were in charge, she wouldn't even have gotten a hearing the way Merrick Garland did.
Right, taking us to a real dangerous new place is what that threat is. So first of all, there are 3 Republicans, Murkowski, Romney, Collins, who have supported this just. The White House very pleased. They, of course, wanted this to be able to say this had bipartisan support. Certainly 53 votes, a lot smaller than the margins we used to get, but still they're happy about that. But this from Lindsey Graham yesterday is sort of stunning, to suggest that if the other party that controls the Senate, contrary to the party that holds the White House, that president may never get a Supreme Court judge. That they wouldn't even bring them to a vote for a committee hearing. And that's what we saw in 2016 with Merrick Garland, McConnell using the excuse that year that it was an election year, which of course did not have precedent before. But Graham's not even going that far. He's just simply saying if Republicans were in charge, we wouldn't even bring her to a vote. And yes, he had favored a judge from his home state of South Carolina. Maybe that's why he's particularly been out of shape here. But really, he seems to be setting a marker for a very dangerous gridlock going forward.
But you know, there's another piece here that I think a lot of people are missing and that's being overshadowed by the politicization that we've seen. And that is, when you listen to the Republican senators on the Judiciary Committee talk, a lot of what you heard was, she has amazing qualifications. She sounds like a great person. She's brilliant. We think she's bright and is well qualified, and her family should be proud. These benevolent comments. But no, it's a no vote. And that is so indicative and frustrating for someone like me and many other black Americans to watch. And that's an element that's being overshadowed because there is a very heavy political tide that we are dealing with this conversation. But it's very much so indicative of what so many black Americans experience every day in private spaces. You did the right thing. You did the right thing better than most people have ever or could ever wish to do it. You've answered every question that the system has thrown at you, and yet and still someone is going to turn around and tell you no. And you brought up, you know, Kavanaugh, which I think is a very interesting contrast, despite the fact in both of these cases there was an attempt to boogeyman the appointee.
Right.
In Kavanaugh, it was, well, we understand that sexual assault is a serious thing and we need to validate and be careful about how we deal with survivors of sexual assault. But yes. And in this case, it's, you have all of the qualifications, you're brilliant, you've done all the right things, but no.
No.
And that experience is so germane to what it is to be black in America that watching this carries an additional level of frustration for people like me.
You know,
Patty?
and let me just say again, something that has stuck in my craw, as they say, for 15 years, has been on the other side too, where you have somebody like Miguel Estrada, who was as qualified as anybody and would have made a remarkable Supreme Court justice. Democrats, and then let's just call the Democrat out by name, Chuck Schumer.
Yep.
Basically said, because you are Hispanic and because you are conservative, you're not going to go to the Supreme Court. And there were other people of color this same way too. It's just, it is. Let me just ask for you, how do we depoliticize this process? This process is broken.
I have